If you never take a risk, you will never live the life you want. So why do you keep avoiding taking that risk? That is the question most people try not to think about. Most people run from the thought of taking any form of risk. They will do anything to protect a life they don't even like. They wake up. They follow the same routine. They stay close to what is familiar. But deep down, something inside them knows this is not the life they wanted. This is just the life they learned to tolerate. And that is a dangerous place to be. Because the predictable life feels peaceful at first. It feels stable. It can feel like you are protecting yourself from failure. But slowly, if you are not careful, it becomes a cage. Not the kind of cage other people can see, the kind that forms inside a man. And that is how potential dies. It dies because he was so afraid to lose what he had that he never reached for what he wanted. It dies because he kept waiting for the risk to disappear before he moved. But the risk never disappears. Life itself is a risk. No one is making it out alive in the end. So what really is there to lose? Love is risky. Trying is risky. Changing is risky. Even staying where you are is risky. The question is not whether you will risk something. The question is what you are willing to risk for. The greatest risk a man can take is not taking any risk at all. You have to understand that. Because if you take the risk, you might fail. But if you never take it, you guarantee a different kind of failure. The failure of never knowing. The failure of never achieving the life you were capable of living. And one day you will come face to face with the life you could have lived, but didn't. And that kind of regret is heavy. It follows you wherever you go. It sits beside you when the day is over. It asks why you protected a life you did not even want. It asks why you let fear make decisions that your future self would have to live with. That is the bill for not trying. And it always comes due. Trying is risky, but not trying costs more. Because when you try, you will either succeed or fail. And when you fail, you learn. But when you do nothing, you learn and achieve nothing. You just remain there, waiting, wondering, growing older yet staying the same. Nobody gets out alive. So stop acting like safety is the highest purpose of your life. You were not given time only to waste it. You were not given a mind only to imagine the life you will never build. At some point, a man has to ask himself a serious question. Am I living? Or am I only avoiding loss? Because those are not the same thing. There are men who never lose because they never enter the arena. There are men who never fail because they never commit to anything. And they call that safety. But a life built around avoidance does not become peaceful. It becomes smaller. Every time you refuse the risk, the world shrinks a little more. Every time you choose comfort over calling, you grow weaker. And eventually you stop asking what is possible. You only ask what is safe. That is where the trap begins. Because the safe path does not always look like a trap at first. Sometimes it looks normal. Sometimes it's the path everyone else is going down. But just because a path is understood by everyone else does not mean it was meant for you. Sometimes the life you are called to build will require you to disappoint some people. Sometimes you will have to move without the approval you wanted. And that is where fear begins speaking. It tells you to wait. It tells you that you might fail. And maybe you will. But failure is not the enemy. Failure is feedback. Failure is information. A man who refuses to fail refuses to learn. And a man who refuses to learn stays exactly where he is. That is why action matters. Because action breaks the spell. Action turns fear into something specific. Action turns the unknown into a lesson. Action gives you direction. You do not need to know the whole path before you begin. You just need enough courage to take the next step. That is how a life changes, by moving until the fear loses control. Because fear is defeated by decision, not by thinking about courage. A clear decision, a decision that says, I have had enough of staying stuck. And this is a decision every man has to make at some point. Otherwise, they will stay stuck in comfort for their whole lives. And being stuck in that place will destroy a man. Because comfort has a cost. And the cost is often invisible until years have passed. Comfort costs you confidence. Comfort costs you the man you could have become if you had moved sooner. That is why the risk matters. Because nothing meaningful is built without some form of uncertainty. If you want a different life, you will have to step into the part you cannot fully control. If you want growth, you will have to enter discomfort. Everybody wants the prize, but few are willing to pay the price. Everybody wants the result. Few are willing to sacrifice the familiar for it. But that is the exchange. If it were easy, everyone would do it. If the path did not demand courage, it would not separate anyone. The difficulty of the road is not proof that you should turn back. The difficulty is part of the journey. You cannot ask for a greater life and then resent the pressure that forces you to grow into it. At some point, the fear of staying the same has to become stronger than the fear of failing. At some point, regret has to become more frightening than risk. Picture yourself 10 years from now. Not the version that took the risk, the version that stayed, the version that kept waiting, the version that kept saying there would be a better time. Look at him honestly. Look at what he had to make peace with. Look at the quiet resentment in his eyes. That man is not angry because life was hard. He is angry because he betrayed what he knew. He knew he had potential to be more. He knew his fear was controlling his life. And he still stayed. Do not become that man. Do not make him carry the weight of every risk you refused. Because the person who risks nothing becomes nothing. And that is not the life you want. You want to feel alive. You want to know that you tried. That is where freedom begins. Not after everything works out. Freedom begins the moment fear is no longer allowed to rule. Freedom begins when you stop asking life for guarantees. Taking the risk does not mean throwing your life away. It means refusing to waste what has been given to you. It means choosing action over endless preparation. It means choosing the pain of growth over the pain of regret. And along the path, you learn what works. You learn what does not. You learn what you are made of. You learn where you are weak. The more you do, the more you realize you can do. That is how capacity expands, not through imagination alone, but through contact with life, through pressure, through mistakes. And yes, some risks will hurt. Some doors will close. Some attempts will humble you. But even then, you will have gained something the safe life could never give you. You will have gained evidence. Evidence that you were willing to try. Evidence that you were willing to learn. And that kind of evidence changes a man. It makes him harder to intimidate. It makes him feel more alive. Because comfort zones do not expand a life. Risk does. And once a man discovers that he can survive more than he thought, the world becomes bigger. The possibilities become endless. He starts participating in life instead of observing it from the sidelines. And that is what you are really after. Not just success, participation. A life you can feel. A life where you did not hide from the very thing that was calling you forward. So take the risk. Take it because your future is asking for movement. Take it because the life you want will not arrive while you keep protecting the life you have outgrown. Make the decision. Start the thing. Leave the comfort. Build the skill. Change the direction. Do the thing that your future self keeps begging you not to avoid. And when fear rises, do not listen to it. Look it in the face. Let it speak. Then move anyway. Because fear is not a command. It is a test. And on the other side of that test is the man you have been waiting to become. You may fail, but you will learn. You may fall, but you will rise. Do not stay trapped and call it safety. Do not stay average because risk made you uncomfortable. Always remember that the greatest risk is not taking the risk. Because one day, the chance to change will not be there anymore. One day, the years you thought you had will have passed. And on that day, you will be full of regret for the life you didn't live. So take responsibility for your own future. Choose the risk that can build you. Choose the discomfort that will move you forward. Choose the life that demands courage from you. Because everybody dies, but not everybody lives. And the man who never risks may keep his hands clean, but he also keeps his life small. So take the risk today, because the life you want is not waiting inside your comfort zone. It is waiting on the other side of the decision you keep delaying.